Reminder, gender categories. That's what that means.
Reminder, imagination. Be aware, when I criticize or even make fun of trans women, I'm not doing so against a minority. Men are not a minority. Trans women are men. Ooh, scruffy looking. Welcome back to the Uncarved Block. As you have seen, we're going to be dealing with imagination in this video. We're going to be dealing with the imagination of Limber, who admits that he makes everything up. It's all made up. It's all just categories. It's all made up. So welcome to part 4 of my 5-part coverage of claims made by this man named Ember, who I sometimes call Limber. But if I fail in that, oh well, I'm inconsistent. So Limber made a video about me and me talking about him and his friends, and this has all provided a lot of coverage to expose how ridiculous trans ideology is and those who support it. And you're going to see that Limber doesn't do his research very well toward the end of the video. You're going to see Limber say that Castor Semenya gave birth, which is false. You're going to see Limber going, oh, well, I made a mistake when I criticized the Bible. Well, you shouldn't be making videos about atheism against Christianity if you don't know what the heck you're talking about. Do boys and girls grow up to be men and women, respectively? Am I hurting women? Do we choose our sex at the beginning? Because you got to choose one thing or the other, right? Is gender a synonym for sex sometimes? Is saying something as a category defining it? And finally, the most egregious thing probably Ember says in this, well, it doesn't say in the video itself, but says on his webpage, is whether or not the majority of women support trans-identified men in their spaces in sports. And I will expose Limber's faulty and misleading and essentially lying about his research. So let's get into it. Thank you. Forgot my little guide. If you see Uncarved Block there, and down here are the cartoon images of my interlocutors. That, if you hear me speaking during that is pre-recorded what they are responding to. Sometimes you will hear their voices from my video. So hopefully there'll be some movement in the top representing that. If you don't see movement at the top, then it's them talking down at the bottom. And of course, just before I start commenting would be what they have actually said that I am responding to at that time. Have fun. That somebody who has XY chromosomes cannot give birth.
You sure about that?
Oops, my own bit of being a moron. So yes, I know people with Swire and maybe some of the others can't get pregnant. And what's even worse is I have this little handy chart and I didn't refer to it when I should have, because it's hard to keep all these things in your head as far as all these conditions go. So yes, there are people with XY chromosomes that can get pregnant, but that actually helps my case in that sex is based on gamete production, and people with Swire syndrome produce, I guess, large gametes and are therefore women.
Yeah. One of the more famous ones, I believe, is someone called Castor Semenya. She apparently flagged intersex, and they were like, oh, you're a man, you can't compete. And then she went back to her home and gave birth because she has working female reproductive organs. But do tell me how she's a man.
How about that, Logan? What do you got to say about that, buddy?
Ember's wrong.
Hello and welcome to Changes. It is Annie McManus here. Today's guest is fighting for change. Castor Semenya is a South African runner. She has won 2 Olympic gold medals and 3 world championships in the women's 800 metres. She is also one of the most recognisable intersex women in the world. In her book, The Race to Be Myself, Castor explains herself. On the outside, I am female. I have a vagina, but I do not have a uterus. I do not menstruate, and my body produces an elevated amount of testosterone, which gives me more typically masculine characteristics than other women, such as a deeper voice and fewer curves. I cannot carry a child because I don't have a womb, but contrary to what many people think, I do not produce sperm. I can't biologically contribute to making new life.
As you can see by this chart, 5-ard is on the male side. Castor Semenya has 5-ard. And I'm going to let the lovely Emma Hilton, PhD in evolutionary biology, and I will remind everyone that Forrest Valkai, another moron that thinks he can say all this crap, will not talk to his superior about this stuff. He hides in little YouTube things and never confronts his superiors about this. So anyway, here's Emma Hilton, who is so frightening, Forrest runs from her. So she is talking about, I think, Amin Khalif, because they were talking about the boxer in the Olympics, the person that asked this, and she's responding. 5-ard means the baby starts developing as a healthy male. So already we begin undifferentiated, and it is already differentiated into a male fetus. All right, so already it's a male there. Healthy male, XY, testes, testosterone, all the internal plumbing. But the baby lacks a protein needed to make a penis grow. This means that the baby's external genitals can develop as female looking. Hence, the baby might be registered at birth as female. During puberty, the male internal bits start kicking out huge amounts of testosterone as per male, and their external genitals start to become more masculine. It's kind of a catch up. Not only that, but testosterone at puberty, produced by all that internal male biology, does all the regular stuff that it does to muscles, blah, blah. So their body, the thing they run, jump, and punch with, has developed like any other male. That's why they shouldn't be in female categories. It's got precisely nothing to do with their external genitalia and what their paperwork says. So in essence, what Emma is saying is that the reproductive pathways are all built around producing small gametes. However, according again to my definition, which they have either, I don't think they've addressed yet, I'm not sure, or if they have in a previous video, you can have a broken reproductive system, just like you can have a broken refrigerator is still a refrigerator. They don't wish to recognize that. I'm sorry. I have a broken hairline. Okay. I don't know if you can have a broken hairline, but Castor Semenya cannot give birth. Okay. Let me say this for the slow people because I'm going to emphasize. Okay. I'm going to emphasize here and they don't seem to get it. Okay. I'm going to say cannot twice and the second time will be an emphasis. Castor Semenya cannot. Okay. Did you get that, slow people? Give birth. Castor Semenya cannot even get pregnant. Castor Semenya does not produce sperm, even though if something hadn't gone wrong, I'm assuming 5-ard is caused by a mutation, I'm not sure, Castor Semenya would be producing small gametes and would therefore be a man and would have a penis if they had that protein. So, Ember is wrong. Castor Semenya did not give birth. His wife was impregnated by donated sperm. It's not even Castor Semenya's. Doesn't mean that Castor Semenya is not a father. I don't go into that. It has to be your biological to be a father. But Ember is wrong. That's the most important thing. And the funny thing is about this is Ember has this whole page on intersex and puts himself off as being some expert on, at least a autodidact expert in intersex and DSDs, but doesn't even know what 5-ard is. Wow. Ember, you're really starting to look foolish. It's not a good look.
Next section, as you can tell from the text on screen, Logan goes into Bible cosplay for half an hour. And now, to be perfectly honest, apparently I messed up a Bible thing. I said that Paul said something when it was actually in Matthew.
Terrible.
I know.
It was still from the Bible, but it was the wrong person. Therefore, it doesn't exist. Got it.
Paul probably did say it at some point.
In fairness, when I attribute a quote to Luke Skywalker and it was actually said by Captain Picard, that kind of nerd will come for me, So
actually,
yes. So I own that one. It was not Paul, it was Matthew, or whatever the fuck else. I don't care. I said several times in this show, I do not give a fuck. But yes, I was technically wrong about which fictional Bible person said the thing.
technically wrong is the best kind of wrong.
It's true.
Except being wrong means incorrect, false, or unjust. While technically wrong means an error exists based on a strict no interpretation of rules, definition, or technicalities, even if the statement is functionally true or widely accepted. Wrong implies a clear inaccuracy, while technically wrong often suggests a pedantic, minor, or contextually irrelevant error. These weren't irrelevant. Ember, if I quoted you wrongly, would that just be technically wrong? I don't think so. And let's look at this person that does not care how accurate he is going to be about the Bible. Let's see some of these. Live right now. How about that? Armageddon apologetics. Are you familiar with Armageddon apologetics? Evolution is true. Oh, now you know evolution. I guess if you said something wrong about evolution or creationism, it would just be a technical thing. Let's see. History of biology, creationism versus Bible. You don't even know the Bible, so how are you critiquing that? Oh, what else we have here? I know there's more. Probably missing some. Studying women's Bible study. Oh, and you make fun of the way I talk sometimes. Studying women's Bible study. Okay. History of young Earth creationism. Wow, Ember, you're just, Aquinas' 5 Arguments for God. Deep dive. Oh, wow. I should probably listen to that one. Oh, wow. Ember, I don't know what to tell you. You don't care about how accurately you cite the Bible, yet you're going to inaccurately quote it all the time, and you don't care, but you're going to address it anyway. There's the Thinking Christian Silly Questions. Oh, more creationism. These Christians need Jesus. Well, you don't even know what the hell Jesus said. So why are you telling Christians what they need Jesus when you don't even know what Jesus said? You're making yourself look like a fool, Ember. It's not
So there is a comment in the chat by the Uncarved Rock.
It's me. Yay! Got to me.
I'm starting to think you may have been right about the narcissism thing, Eli.
He celebrated. He made a video about you two talking about him and celebrated when you two talked about him.
Forgot I was dealing with the slow boy again. Eli, honey, it was just me being facetious, okay? I was being a little silly, okay? It didn't excite me. I entertained myself, if that matters. But I'm sorry, Eli, that you're just not bright enough to get it.
And now we're doing a whole video about him, and he's mad about it.
Man to man, Ember. No, I'm not mad. What I was irritated about was that I gave you 2-hour notice that I would be happy to come on with you, and you guys refused, and yet you're bitching and moaning about having a conversation. Yeah, that was irritating. And, if that was intentional, cool, but it's not a good look on your part.
He was streaming it for about over an hour and a half, or just a little bit longer than what we've been going on. But he just stopped out of nowhere. Apparently, he gave up. Or he accepted that he was so fucking wrong, and that only a total of 5 people checked in, that he just gave up.
No. 1, an hour and a half. I had other things to do after that. 2, you guys had so much nonsense that I thought I'd just wait till later and be able to separate the chaff from the worst chaff.
I don't know. I honestly don't care. If I were to venture a guess, though, it may be that because he's streaming or was streaming and was offering commentary, like he would periodically pause us in order to correct us or something, there's a delay, and he got further and further and further behind. So I would venture a guess that when he stopped was just before one of those really important parts where I made it very clear how he's not only aggressively wrong, but a bully and is saying harmful things that hurt people, including cis women. This defender of women is hurting cis women, but never mind. I would imagine it was like right around there when he just stopped.
Oh, gotta adjust my glasses again. They keep falling down. No, Ember, I'm an ally to women, and I am not wrong. And no, I'm not hurting women. In fact, I've actually asked women this question because, this was actually when it was Bree, told me I should shut up. So I went and actually quoted Bree word for word in a group of women. And I said, should I stop speaking up about this? As a man, should I not speak about this? Well, I had women support me. One said, no, it's not wrong. As a woman, I really appreciate your support in the fight for our rights. Trans rights activists always like to tell people they aren't allowed to have their own beliefs or feelings and share them, yet somehow they expect to enforce their beliefs on others. Please keep speaking up. We need all the help we can get. Thank you. Another one said, no, it's not wrong. Everyone should speak up about this issue because it does affect everyone. The impacts are most obvious on women, but it affects men too, and everyone is expected to lie about the basic facts of life. It's great that you care about the rights of other people. This is how society is supposed to work. Yet another, not at all. Most women would appreciate your support. So, Ember, I think you're the one that's hurting women.
Like on the paper, generally it is, they say male or female, which will be the sex. And then when they do the announcement, like, okay, I had a baby, or like on the door or whatever, they say boy or girl. So technically they do assign a gender.
Mm-hmm. I've covered this in another video. I think it was in the very one they're reviewing. No. Only if gender is a synonym for sex, then are they assigning gender. Boy and girl are underdeveloped men and women, respectively. It's only in your loony definitions that you think, they're assigning a gender. No, they are not. I mean, I don't think they're sitting there going, this boy is going to be masculine or this girl is going to be feminine. No, it's just, they don't even think about it. It's just boy and girl.
True. And I don't know if this is across the board, but, at my hospital at least.
Yeah, like my birth certificate has an F on it. My older children, their birth certificate all has either an F or an M on it, except possibly my oldest, who may have amended their birth certificate. And then my youngest, I filled out myself. I put an F on it. Yeah, you have to pick one.
And you don't pick one arbitrarily. You pick one based on the obvious sex they are. You do not make these rules to accommodate people that may have ambiguous genitalia, as saddening as that is, it occurs. But most people have unambiguous genitalia. For you to sit there and go, I'm going to pick this person with an obvious vagina and make them a male. I'm going to pick this guy with an obvious penis and make him female. No, you don't do that, Ember. But wait a minute. You have children? You have children. How were those children made? Did you contribute one of the gametes to each of them? Did you do that? And were they small gametes or were they large gametes? I want to know. Somebody let me know. What contribution did Ember make, unless it was adoption, which is fine. But if they're biologically Ember's children, what did he contribute? Let me know in the comments.
Well, I think so. There's so much conflation in the public speak about sex and gender because a lot of people do, and have for several decades, use gender as a euphemism for sex because saying the word sex is a dirty word.
Yeah, I think that's Correct. That sounds correct.
So a lot of people deliberately mix up the terms, and we run that it's reached the point that it's on legal papers, right? Like on a birth certificate, it actually says sex at birth, but people will say gender at birth.
Oh, you're answering your own question. Yes, I'm a little older than Ember, but he should know that when you walked into a medical office and they said gender, you knew they were talking about sex. And there is nothing wrong. The English language is full of words with multiple meanings, but the same spelling. I think the most egregious is the word set, S-E-T. There's a ton of definitions for that. But for Ember to say, well, people are confused. No, they're using it correctly in the context they're using it. When they say gender at birth, they are meaning sex at birth because it is a synonym. It wasn't just a euphemism. It was a synonym. So Ember, again, you guys don't get to use it. And the only reason you are making the accusation that people are confused is because you have tried to take this term and language police it. Just legal. It's a biological fact what you are.
The fun fact about that, the thing on your legal paperwork does not determine your biology. It attempts to describe your biology, and often it's correct, but not always. But whether it's correct or not, it's not what's on the paper that determines what you are. It's the other way around, you know?
Now, because Ember is so poor at explaining himself and often jumps terms mid-sentence, I'm not sure what he's getting at here. Is he saying that the person determines what they are biologically? Or is he saying biology determines what should be on your birth certificate? So if it's the first, no, that's not the case. You, by Ember's own rules, person can't determine what they are just by looking at things. They got to get tested. And most often, oh, well, no, let's talk about 99.5% of the time, Ember. Okay? 99.5% of the time. If it's the latter, I agree. And therefore, trans persons should not be altering what is on their documents as far as sex goes. So, Ember, you got some explaining to do. What is gender? What is it?
This is the question. This is the question. We're not going to finish this whole video, right? You know, what are we at? We're at an hour 46. There's over an hour left of Logan's video. We are not covering this whole thing. So I do want to note, what is gender keeps coming up. The longer this video goes on, the more he says it, until by the end, he's fucking shouting it. Why won't you define gender? Because we're recording, Logan. We can't hear you.
Should have called.
To answer the question, now that we're here, it depends on the context. Gender just means category, like genre of movie, genre of music. It's the same root word. Genre, gender, they come from the same place. It's just a category. And all categories are things we made up.
Perfect. Bravo. Thank you, Ember. Things we made up. And you think that things you make up needs to define what other people need to do, need to accommodate you. Okay, I refuse to accommodate you because you made this up. You made all this up, Ember. You made it up. You had some friends and you made this stuff up. And you try to say, oh, men can go into women's bathrooms if they think they're female, even though that doesn't determine what they actually are. You still did not define gender. You just said it's a category. Maybe you define it in the next segment. I don't know. I've been busy, so I haven't previewed all this. We'll see if you do. But you did not define gender. You just said what it was. Okay, a motorcycle is a vehicle. Doesn't really tell you what it is. I could say a car is a vehicle. And if you didn't know what either of those two things were, it wouldn't tell you anything. And as far as the source word of genre and gender, so what? Original words, source words change. Nice. Nice used to originally mean ignorant and foolish, but it evolved to meanings of timid, fussy, precise, before coming the complimentary word it is today. So, Ember, you just gave me the argument because there is no reason I should have to respect made up things. Just like I think you might agree with me that religion is a made up thing, and I do not have to respect those beliefs, just like I do not have to respect the belief that a man is a woman and vice versa.
What does gender mean? It depends on what you're talking about. If you're referring to social categories, well, I can help with that. Once again, back to the website. Here's a handy sex gender chart. So up here at the top, biology. You could be male, you could be female, you could be intersex. That's just the physical parts you have. And that has to do with genitals, secondary traits, hormones, gametes, brain structure, psychology, and then of course chromosomes, but also non-biological stuff, but gets treated like biological stuff, like your legal status or social factors. So that's your biology, broadly speaking. And once again, your legal stuff is not your biology, but it gets treated that way because society is weird.
Already, Limber, we are seeing where your thing is wrong, because you're adding things that are treated as biology when they shouldn't even be in there. They should be down with identity. Sociology, legal status should be down there with identity, because biology is objective fact. Even when someone gets it wrong, when some doctor gets it wrong, which is rare, there is still a fact in the world about them. And you are attempting to confuse that legal status, the referent for that legal status, is more than likely a biological fact. And you want to ignore that, Ember, because you're weird.
Next level, you've got identity. This is where gender lives. It's different from your biology. You've got man, woman, and non-binary. That is who you are. Your biology is what you are. Your identity is who you are. And this isn't just gender. This is literally anything. Are you a Christian? Are you right or left-handed?
To quote the orange turnip, wrong. Wow, no. A man is an adult human male. A woman is an adult human female. Non-binary is silly, ridiculous stuff that somebody made up. Right, Limber? So by your definition, man, non-binary, woman are made up. So we can just ignore those and go by biology, correct? So when a bathroom says female, trans, quote, women, unquote, need to go in the men's room, right? Good to know. Oh, and no, Ember, being left-handed or right-handed is not an identity. If no one else was around and you were by yourself, you would still be right-handed or left-handed. Just as if you were by yourself, you would not know what a man or a woman is, but you would be one or the other. Wow, and this person wishes to insult me, saying I don't know logic. Not a good look, Ember. Not a good look.
Things like this. And then you've got your expression. You can be masculine, you can be feminine. And here you can also be non-binary. So I get why people get confused because we've non-binary in both categories. But there's more than two, so it's non-binary, whatever. And that's the signals you project to others to indicate how they should treat you or interact with you. And these are pronouns and clothing and other various things. And that leads us into roles, which gives us that bimodal spectrum everyone hears about, your protector and your nurturer. And this has to do with like your work you do, your interests, your relationships, your behavioral expectations, who should open the door when you go to a fancy restaurant. That's roles, you know? These don't impact your gender or even your gender expression because they're downstream from that, but they are gendered factors, right? So that's what that all is. And that's why we get the bimodal spectrum, because every single person, like you could be a female woman who presents femme and still be a protector, you know? Anybody can go any which way on these things because you're a fucking person, not just a category. And that's what gender is, a category based on a social concept of how people present and interact in a given society. That's why so many societies have more than two genders, because they've broken down their category system differently.
So what? It's all made up, right? This is all made up. So why do I need to respect your made up stuff if you don't respect my made up stuff, right, Ember? So if I say all your stuff is made up, I like my made up stuff better, what criteria do you have, objective criteria, to tell me I am wrong? You guys have really sunk yourself a deep hole full of shit with all this. All this, Ember, you have admitted is just made up. You can't tell me what gender refers to. What is the referent, Ember? What is the referent? If it's made up, there's not an objective referent. And under your view, masculine and femininity are just made up. There's no way to know what is feminine and masculine other than we made it up. So, now pink is going to be masculine and playing with trucks is going to be feminine. And so it's all made up, Ember. It's all made up. Wow. I mean, to anyone of my fans that are still watching this, thank you, because I know we're almost through it. I got one more segment after this, but wow. I mentioned Ember to Maria McLaughlin and asked her if she was going to cover this. And she said, it's in her queue. But she said, oh, you mean that Ember twat? Yeah, that's the one I mean. Yeah. The one who makes stuff up and thinks that his made up stuff should affect everybody else. Everybody else should suck up to Ember.
Is horror also sci-fi? Like Frankenstein. It's a horror. They're reanimating a dead body. But is it also sci-fi because it's a mad scientist using advanced equipment and lightning bolts? How do you define the genre? It's categories. We made it all up.
Again, good thing you have as of yet refused to debate me live, Ember, because I would trash you. It's all made up. That would grant me the entire debate. All your stuff is made up. And no one's sitting here going, well, I wouldn't say no one, but it's not being forced upon us that we need to use our restrooms and regulate our sports by whether something is sci-fi or horror.
So there's that. Jester sends us $2. Thank you, Jester. And says, why does he need you to define this? That is an excellent question, Jester. You would think a person who has graduated the 4th grade would understand how categories work. But we know, and this is me assuming, so this may be my bad, I may have to eat crow later. We know from other transphobes, they only graduated the 3rd grade. That's why they keep quoting 3rd grade biology at you. Mm-hmm. So maybe they didn't get the 4th grade information.
Copy on somebody that was a driver, drove trucks, and a photographer somehow thinks that they're automatically an expert in biology. I mean, I've already pulled out Emma Hilton. Do you need more, Ember? Do you need more? Sorry, Forrest doesn't count. Emma Hilton is Forrest's superior. But, okay, you have your made up stuff. You've already admitted it, so I don't know where you're trying to say that you somehow have not made up stuff. What is made up, Ember, and what is not? Because you've already said it's all made up. Oh, and if you want to know how I would use gender, so you wouldn't accept my definition. That's why I asked for yours. My definition would just be masculine and feminine. That's it. Your gender is masculine and feminine, except when gender is a synonym for sex, which would be an objective fact in the world. But you keep making up stuff, Ember, and think that you somehow know 4th grade biology when it's all made up.
Reminder, gender categories. That's what that means.
Reminder, imagination. 99.5% at least. It's very obvious what.
He's just making that number up. That's not true. The best information we have is that intersex people make up approximately 2% of the population. But again, we don't know.
Oh my gosh. Where does this person get this crap? So, this really depends on how you define these DSDs, which again, Ember means, oh, we're making this up. So you saying 2% is making stuff up. There are 2 main estimates of DSDs. There is the narrow definition, which is clinically significant DSDs, include conditions that are clearly identified at birth or in early life. For example, ambiguous genitalia, chromosomal conditions with a clear clinical impact. And these are roughly 0.02% to 0.05% of the population, roughly 1 in 2,000 to 1 in 5,000 births. Now, I don't know where Ember is getting his estimate. Maybe he's just rounding up, because the most common estimate, which has been criticized, is from Ann Fausto-Sterling, and it is 1.7%, and it includes a wide range. So again, these made-up categories, a wide range. Fausto-Sterling is widening the range with mild chromosomal variations such as XXY, hormonal differences that may not be obvious. So, you can have a man or a woman with hormonal differences and they're not a DSD, not in my definition. So my made-up category is just as good as yours, Ember, right? and conditions discovered only later in life. So the number's different because, they're either strict or broad. So it depends on what you go by. But the rough consensus in science is most modern medical literature tends to land somewhere between 0.1 to 0.2 for conditions that are clinically relevant, not extremely rare, and recognized as DSDs in practice. So there is no true number, but it is very, very small. And this would be from one of Limber's favorite sites, Sex Matters, which is composed of mostly, if not all, women that are only 2 in the whole world, according to Limber. But Emma Hilton is a consultant. Emma Hilton, PhD in biology, unlike Limber. So here we're talking about DSDs, and 98 to 98% of all births, the baby's genitals and internal reproductive organs had developed entirely normally. Easy to identify. Wow. According to Limber, they're not. In most other births, the sex is obvious from the genitals, even though the reproductive system hasn't developed entirely normal. But in about 0.02% of birth, who are you going to believe? Limber or a PhD in biology? Further investigation is needed. In that 0.02%, not 2%, 0.02%. Maybe this is where Limber has messed up in that he can't read what 0.02% is as opposed to 2%. No, when it says percent, Limber, or it has a little percent sign, you don't move the decimal point over, okay? Baby said that. There are around 40 DSDs, some of them rare. DSDs are sex specific. Again, Limber, sex specific, okay? You won't find a female DSD affecting a male, nor vice versa. They are not a third sex. They're not both sexes. You don't get to pick and choose, Limber. I'm sorry. Diagnosis, treatment, DSDs in detail. You can go here to Sex Matters and find out all this. Explain some of this biology that Limber says he knows. Almost all newborn babies can easily be classified as male or female simply by looking at their genitals. Limber says no. Doctors say yes. It's one of the most accurate diagnostic tests in all of medicine, even though it requires no special equipment or training. But, if you are here and you're a fan of Limber, you can keep believing him.
People who don't know, a lot of people who aren't out, and there's a lot of other conditions that don't really get counted. For instance, chimerism, my variety of chimerism, where twins fuse together. Geneticists estimate that happens in about 10% of the human population. Now, not all of them are going to be a mixture of sex chromosomes, but statistically, half of them are. That's an extra 5% of the population have mixed chromosomes.
More speculation from the Limber twat. So it's actually very hard to find information on chimeras because, for one thing, it doesn't cause an issue usually. So here is on PubMed, prenatal case for misunderstood as specimen confusion. We'll go into whatever this address is, but however, the abstract says chimerism results from the fusion of 2 zygotes in a single embryo, whereas mosaicism results from mitotic errors in a single zygote. True human chimerism is rare, with fewer than 100 cases reported in the literature. Okay, so I don't know where Ember is getting his numbers, but doesn't seem to be from here. Just searching around. I think a safe statement that would reflect the literature would be that estimates of natural human chimerism they range from rare to upper bounds of equal to or less than 1%. And in some hypotheses, much higher. But there is no reliable population prevalence that has been established due to underdiagnosis, Limber is right about that, and lack of systemic screening. So we don't know. Ember's making stuff up like he already admitted. And that's really all I have to say. I mean, Limber gave away the argument once he admitted that they're making stuff up. And again, a person with chimerism can also have a DSD, but chimerism is not a DSD in and of itself, because Ember has made it up.
It also gets worse than that, because there's a thing. There's a few different ways people refer to it. One of my favorite is the dictionary fallacy. It's probably something like actually called appeal to definition, whatever. It's this idea that the definition of a thing is the thing, but definitions are descriptive, not proscriptive, because words are also made up by people, you know?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether you can define it or how you define it or if you break certain criteria, because what he's really doing is the reification fallacy. He's confusing the map for the place. He's driving on the highway, and then he goes off the highway because the map shows the highway going straight when the real highway turns. And he's getting mad because the real highway isn't matching what's on the human-made description.
Wrong. First of all, let's just read this from a source. Of course, you know, this was just made up by humans. So, appeal to definition, using a dictionary's limited definition of a term as evidence that a term cannot have another meaning, expanded meaning, or even conflicting meaning. This is a fallacy because dictionaries don't reason. They simply are a reflection of an abbreviated version of the current accepted usage of a term, as determined by argumentation and eventual acceptance. In short, dictionaries tell you what a word meant, according to the authors, at the time of its writing, not what it meant before that time, after, or what it should mean. So where Limber is failing here is that I'm not appealing to definition. I'm appealing to real world facts, which I have to use words to represent. I have to use the words that refer to the referent, which is the actual thing. Now, we're not going to get into the dispute whether or not Gandalf is a referent or not. Let's just talk about real world things that can be evaluated and measured and documented. So I did not make up how humans reproduce, Limber, okay? So I'm not appealing to any definition. That is just a fact. And then we have words that describe that fact. So Ember, you are probably making some sort of fallacy that I may not know the name of, in that you think words affect those facts, but they don't. Now, regarding the reification fallacy, confusing the map for the territory, this is when an abstract belief, or hypothetical construct, okay, Limber, is treated as if it were a concrete, real event or physical entity. So therefore, you are making this error because you treat identity, which is an abstraction, as a concrete, real event or physical entity. You try to make it where identity supersedes biology, which is a concrete, real event or physical entity. So you're treating identity, as they say, when an idea is treated as if it had real existence. So again, this is a hilarious thing about a lot of atheists and Christians, that they get in these groups and they think they understand fallacies. And I am not an expert in fallacies. I know I commit them and I hate it when I do. But when I'm called out, I will look it up and go, did I make that fallacy? No, I didn't. Instead, not only does my interlocutor misunderstand the fallacy, but they commit it themselves. And that is hilarious. Finally, what I do think Limber and people that agree with him are doing is they are committing the definist fallacy. They are defining a term, such as man or woman, in such a way that makes their own position much easier to defend. So when they go, trans women are women, they are redefining a term that has been used for a long time to mean adult human female, to mean not adult human female. So they are creating a contradiction in order to win their own position. However, the bulk of the world does not accept this definition. They do not accept the redefining of the term. And they are defining the term in that it doesn't really refer to a confirmable fact about the world. And it also refers to something they can change. Men who identify as women can identify out of it.
Well, again, there is a difference between identity and expression. Like, for example, a lesbian expresses in a very masculine fashion, but is still internally a woman. You know?
I didn't catch who Limber said, but how do you know? Are you making assumptions? I mean, how do you know? How do you know inside that this person is a woman? Wow, Limber, I did not expect this of you. I did not expect you to be making assumptions based on someone's appearance. I mean, even if they say they're a woman, I guess that's your condition. That's your criteria, is if somebody says they're a woman, they are. But what fact, other than saying the fact that they said it, does not mean it's an actual fact, correct? Boy and girl in their definitions incorporate male and female.
Here's a fun fact. Because words are made up by people and definitions change over the years, our friend may not be aware, but girl originally meant any non-adult human, any what we would now call child. Child used to be a male exclusive term, but girl meant any what we would call child. So
yeah, I didn't know that.
No, sex is not actually incorporated into those terms.
Oh, Limber, you're doing the reification fallacy. Oh my God, no, you're doing the dictionary for definition. Oh no, you're just doing all sorts of fallacies. No, Limber. Again, girl and boy have in modern times come to refer to the fact that a boy will develop into a man and that a girl will develop into a woman. Okay, we have adjusted our terms to refer to certain facts. And it does not matter what they used to mean. Didn't I already cover this with nice? I think I did. So it doesn't matter, Limber. The facts did not change. The words did. I'm talking about the facts, Limber. You're not. Why is this not clear to you guys? It is literally part of the definition of boy and girl.
We're the illogical ones, but he's making an appeal to definition fallacy, which is an error in logic, one must note. Because again, the definitions can change. If you believe the definitions are absolute, that when the language changes, then what? Does the dictionary changing alter reality? How fucking absurd.
Oh, debate me live, Limber. Debate me live. Oh my gosh. How fucking absurd is it that you guys have redefined woman and man to mean nothing, really? I mean, it means nothing. They mean nothing according to you guys, except some abstract identity. And you're going to sit here and criticize me. No, Limber. I'm using the fact, again, that the dictionary description that I'm using refers to a fact in the world. But you guys think that you can just redefine things however you want, just because in the past they used to be. But see, the facts in the past were still the facts in the present, whatever words we used. But, to think that a man become a woman and vice versa, that's absurd. Before I end this part 4, one more to go. I wanted to look at Limber's website down here under myths. This is on their gender sci-fi, gender sci page. So other myths, saying this is a myth. TERFs don't represent most women, and cites 2 sources for this claim. So the first one is this one: othering, peaking, populism, and more panics, the reactionary strategies of organized transphobia. So this article does not establish that the majority of women support trans ideology. It doesn't do anything that Ember says in that simple statement. All it is a analysis. So they don't do a survey, they don't do a poll, they don't measure public opinion, survey women. Really, if anything, it's the opposite of what Ember claims. They're just arguing that the movements present themselves as representing women, people like Sex Matters and all that. But they're just better understood as top-down political projects. You can see that in the abstract. So this is not an empirical finding at all. So Limber has no basis to make the claim this article does that. If Limber wishes to dispute that, he is welcome to cite the part of the paper that does that. And then the other link, Good Law Project, not in our name. No thanks. All right, we are a collective of cisgender women from every corner of society. Blah, blah, blah. We represent diverse age. We reject completely and categorically cisgender men who abuse power are the real threat. So see, they make where is the source for defining between cis or a trans-identified man? But anyway, this is just somebody's opinion, and they do not do what Limber claims they do. Neither one of them do. And, I mean, this can also be a fallacy. Just because the majority doesn't support it doesn't mean that it's right. That doesn't mean it's necessarily right to infringe on the rights of a smaller percentage of women just because a larger percentage of women okay it. No women, not even the majority, can consent for other women to allow men in their spaces in sports. Well, thank you for joining me. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. Please leave a like, comment, share. Just click the share thing. It's good enough. And that's about it. I'm kind of tired this morning. I've made this video over the course of several weeks, so there may be some inconsistency. Forgive me if so. Please take care of yourself and question most things.